Hey there, LEGO fans and library lovers. It's me, Blair Archer, welcoming you into the Brix LEGO studio for another exciting and educational element exploration. Let's take a look inside the LEGO Ideas Head and see what we're going to be building today. Oh, one of the new Speed Champions cars. That means we're going to be making some wheeled vehicles. Join me over at the building desk and let's take a look at how we can make some awesome cars and other vehicles for our LEGO worlds all on our own. Start your engines, builders. Let's go. All right, builders. Like I said, let's start off with some amazing offerings from the LEGO Speed Champions line. Here they come down the raceway now. We have the Lamborghini Countach and Ferrari F8. These are two of my favorite cars that LEGO has made to date in this minifig scale. This line is great if you are a car enthusiast, if you're looking for some great set pieces for your LEGO city, or if you just want amazing parts packs and to learn some great techniques. They are full of incredible, beautiful solutions to some of their visual problems here. For example, the Countach has this iconic hood that is got the lights sort of embedded in it. So what they did is they put a couple decals down here, some hinges, and then the hood clicks on at an angle and has these clear elements so that you can see the lights through it, just like the real model. And then in the back, the way that they handled the rear of the vehicle where the lights are, I mean, one of the most iconic parts of this design, just gorgeous. So many little hinges and tricks hidden in there to get this to look just right. The designers really knocked it out of the park on this one. And once the Speed Champions came back, the first wave back included this beautiful Ferrari. I was blown away. They changed from a 6-wide format, which was a little too thin and boxy to really capture the low and aggressive design of sports cars and supercars. And they started by using this super cool chassis piece. So it allows you to get a really great start to the build, lots of stability, and then you have already pre-built in some snot techniques here, or studs not on top, so that you can start building sideways from the get-go. It's just a great base to build a vehicle off of. And while some builders out there will swear that 7-wide is the ideal width for vehicles, this is, it's pretty awesome. You end up with about an 8-wide vehicle in the end. 7-wide is really difficult to do because you have to do a lot of half stud offsets. And I mean, take a look at a couple of these examples here. People make some beautiful cars once they strike it out on their own. But LEGO has done an incredible job with these ones. Some other new pieces that they introduced to help make Speed Champions amazing are these super integrated axle holders so that you can have your wheels mounted directly to your vehicle in an easy and sturdy format that also are not too chonky. When we look at our axles throughout the rest of the system, for many years we were working with things like this, big chunky tires which you can mount into Technic pinholes, or we had the smaller tires with their smaller pin for smaller vehicles. Lots of city vehicles run on this scale, but they start to feel almost more like go-karts. So even when we had these sort of smaller profiles for the 4-wide vehicles, nothing really had the kind of connectivity that this does. Some of the Speed Champion sets can be a little decal heavy. This one wasn't too bad, neither is the Ferrari, but in fact I like the Ferrari so much that I didn't apply the decals. Decals are often viewed as a bit of a double-edged sword because while it's amazing to get a printed piece, of which the Speed Champion sets always have a little something, we have our little printed Ferrari 1x1 plate there, and then on the Countach you have these printed hubcaps. It's nice to have decals in my opinion because, you know, if you get something that's printed with that there, it sometimes kind of gets locked to being that very specific element. But when you have a decal that's optional, you can use that element anywhere else in your Lego world, in your own builds, or, you know, modifying a set. And you can also use the decals elsewhere. So sometimes I like to leave them off. In fact, I thought this car looked so good as is, even though there's a couple of these sort of line refinement elements here. It's just such a beautiful sculpt, and I really wanted to learn from what the designers were able to build into the set and not just with the final graphics on the outside. Of course, if you save your decals, you can always apply them later. Let's go ahead and drive these guys off to the garage and take a look at some other tips and tricks we can apply to our own vehicle building at home. Look, it's the Lego City Bus, coming to drop us off some awesome Lego knowledge. Let's take a look at some of the basics when it comes to creating our own Lego motor vehicles. When you're building a motor vehicle, obviously, some important factors go into it. Some things that make our vehicles recognizable are going to be wheels, wheel wells, a strong chassis. We have front and rear lights, some kind of windows and windscreens, mirrors, and of course, a driver and a steering wheel. Throughout the Lego system, we'll find lots of great examples of these pieces. When you're looking at creating the base of your vehicle, you really want to start with your choice of axle, whether you're going to use wheels that run on the Technic pin system, or whether you're going to use the smaller wheels that run on their own tiny wheel pin system. The axles come in different varieties. Some of them are built with both sides already ready for wheels to attach. And some of them are singular. The singular ones are great if you're looking to make a wider vehicle to create this size that you desire. An important thing to do when you're building like that is whenever you have your two spots to connect your wheels, make sure that you are sandwiching them between some plates on the bottom of your vehicle so that when you apply pressure, they don't pop off. So like if you had a wheel, just a single wheel hanging off the side of your vehicle like this, and you hadn't added extra connection at the bottom, when you go to roll it, it might collapse because it's created a weak point here where the pressure of the car pushing down cracks your wheels off. But as long as you make some stabilization underneath there, using whatever kind of length of plate that you're after, that will keep it from wanting to snap off the end of your vehicle. That's one thing that's really great about the pre-built axle connections for Speed Champions or any of these smaller ones where you get both wheels on at the same time, because then when you push down on it, it has even weight distribution and it won't break off. Some vehicle bases are pre-built as well, like this vintage piece here, or some of the ones you might find in a 4+ Lego set. They're designed for younger builders, but it doesn't mean that they are bad pieces. These are great if you're looking to create a vehicle that's super stable, and sometimes they have these really cool details and little elements in them that you won't find anywhere else. So don't discount them just because it's a chunky piece. They can be really awesome. Of course, we have to have a place for our wheels to go. This particular wheel well here is from the new Speed Champions line. This one's out of the Lotus, and you can see it has a nice deep pocket for our wheels to sit back in. When you build a vehicle with your wheel wells, of which there are many varieties, here are just a few pictures of examples throughout the system, you want to pick one that matches your wheels. They make them for different sizes of wheels, different widths of wheels, heights, and they can really create a realistic look, adding this particular detail to your vehicle. It gives it a very lifelike feel, and you want to keep the mud off of the outside of your vehicle too, so they're functional as well. We also have a lot of choices when it comes to steering. In here I have used a 1x2 jumper plate with one of these individual steering wheels mounted to it. So this is sort of a brick-built version of a steering wheel assembly. You can use these two parts together to create a steering wheel mounted sideways. And then we also have a lot of options for steering. So we have steering wheels that range from giant Technic steering wheels, little handlebars of all sorts, different shapes and sizes, and of course the pre-assembled little steering wheel that we see in lots of Lego vehicles. And then don't forget these guys, which make great gear shifts or radio antennas. This is a great time too to talk about the difference between the sizes of Lego vehicles. So here we have our new Speed Champions line in the 8 wide style. Again, getting that really nice profile. But here we have the standard 6 wide, which has been present in the Lego universe for a long time. You can see that if you put these two next to each other, they don't really scale well. To capture the really nice lines of these vehicles, they've had to go wider. Just makes sense, but you put a city bus next to it, and now the city bus, I mean, it feels pretty tight. It's very thin and very boxy. Again, why people consider, the 7 wide to be a really nice middle ground. But it's so fun to have this sort of iconic Lego styling, and it doesn't mean you can't turn out an awesome vehicle. Here's one that just came out within the last week. This is the Jurassic Park Ford Explorers from the original movie. Here I've built up an alternate model of one. I added some windows back in because during the scene that these are from in the set, it's really rainy, so I thought it would be nice to give it a little bit of a closed top. It comes open like this. Has some good decal work here, but it really shows off just what you can achieve in this 6 wide style. So they've added a lot of really nice details here. And then again, we have these really cool printed hubcaps, provide a really accurate representation of the vehicle from the movie. And one thing I love about this one is that they did some great stuff for the interior too. So we have the night vision goggles, we have the water that shakes when the T-Rex walks around, and we have the little computer console that shows the map of the island. It's just really interesting when you compare the two styles. Anything that gets larger starts to seem kind of weird when you put them next to each other. So committing to a certain size, if you're doing like a Lego city layout, can be nice because it gives it a very consistent feel. But at the same time, they don't look terrible next to each other. They're really great representations of the vehicles that they're designed for. And, to each their own. Every builder wants something a little bit different. It depends on what kind of a scene you're going to make. Or if you're just working to create a really accurate version of a vehicle, doesn't really matter what size you're going for. In fact, size can be all over the place when it comes to Lego. In previous videos, I've shown you how to make these really great little micro-scale futuristic vehicles. They're super simple. You just take one of these modified plates with this little bar holder on the end, and you put it with some single round plates. I've used some with the open stud here to give it almost like Tron bike sort of feel, and then just a couple of little angled slopes. Lego's also used to great effect the small roller skate piece to create some amazing microscale in some of their sets. This little tanker truck is so cute and instantly recognizable. They used it as a toy truck in one of the holiday sets, one of the Winter Village sets, and it's just such a great example of how you can use this roller skate piece as the ultimate microscale wheels for a single vehicle or a long tractor trailer like this. And when it comes to Lego wheels, there is an incredible variety of Lego wheel offerings on the market right now. This is from the newest Speed Champion sets. You can see that these ones actually have dual molded rubber already on the outside of the wheel, so you don't actually have to put the tire over the wheel itself. I also love Speed Champions for their little insets where you can put these hubcaps in. They have a lot of variety of those pieces. You can change them out and give your vehicle different styling. And there are so many other wheel offerings out there. in the Technic styling too, I mean, they get enormous. Look at the size of these wheels from a Technic motorcycle, and those aren't even the biggest ones. And lots of these bigger tires will get like a nice cush to them. They actually are sort of air pockets inside. Some of the vintage Technic tires actually were a foam, so this is like a squishy foam all throughout. And you can pick a wheel that matches your vehicle based on the kind of design you're going for. If you're going to be making a big monster truck or a giant construction vehicle, or if you're going to be having like a race car. When you're working with these Technic vehicles too, most of them are going to run on a Technic cross axle. So we're going to slide that cross axle right in there. And then when you're working with this style of wheel, once you get your cross axle in there, you'll use a Technic brick on the bottom of your vehicle to create the chassis for it to run into. And then those will secure your wheels on the bottom. And once you have two wheels on either side and these pieces locked to the bottom of your creation, you'll be able to get them in place and they'll spin freely in that hole. If you have some issues with alignment and you want them to be in a specific place, then what you would do is you'd come through and you'd use these little bushings, and they're like little spacers, little Lego washers for your Technic system. And so you can put these in here and you can put them on one side or the other of your Technic brick so that it can't slide further. You can also use them on the inside of a connection so that things don't slide out. So if you didn't have wheels that your cross axle ran all the way across into another wheel, you could put this bushing on there as just a nice little stop so that your wheel can be in place and not slide away from the edge of your vehicle. And when you go Technic, you can make some pretty awesome giant creations. They make some incredibly large models. Here we have one that I really love. It is the RC Buggy. It's a remote controlled full front and rear suspension vehicle. It runs on the powered up system. So you have a Bluetooth hub in here and then two motors, one for driving and one for steering. So this actually has full remote control steering in there. Just some great Technic paneling. If you haven't worked with Technic before, some of these small size powered up systems are the greatest way to get into remote control vehicles with Lego. They're a really great value for the parts. Basically, you're getting the set at the value of the hub and the motors, and the parts are just about free on top of that. There's a new tracked vehicle too that utilizes pretty much the same setup. And if you're looking at getting into RC, I mean, Lego is a great way to learn how it all functions, how the things go together, how steering works. When you get into some of the differentials in here and just designing all the suspension and stuff, it's a really great learning experience if you want to work on how to build real moving cars. And of course, you can power it up and then it'll drive all over the place. Awesome! Well, thank you so much for joining me here in the studio today, learning how to build everything from micro-sized motor vehicles to motorized marvels. Remember, anything you make at home is always going to be awesome. And if you have any Lego questions, feel free to reach out anytime. Until next time, hit those bricks and play well. Bye!